All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So in this one, I wanted to really focus in on some of my personal takeaways from the Hall of Fame game between the Jets and the Browns. Now, obviously, it is the Hall of Fame game, right? So it's technically like preseason week 0. There's only so much that you can take away from a game like this. I mean, there's no starters. Even like the second stringers are seeing limited time, like they're getting pulled early. But with that said, I think when I was watching that game, there were things that definitely stood out. Let's start with Zach Wilson. I felt like overall, 3 drives, not a ton of time out there. One drive was a 3 and out. The last drive was 4 plays, and then the middle drive was 6 plays. And that was obviously where we saw that deep bomb, which was awesome to watch, especially live. For him to look to his right, then look to his left, and then kind of just loft it up. It was a great pass down the field. Initially, I thought it was like 40, 45 yards, but it was like a 50, 60 yarder. Just gave his wide receiver a chance, and he ran right underneath it. And that's what you want to see. For me personally, I was hoping that Zach Wilson was going to have a game where it's like, does he look like he's in control? He's not going up against starters. He's not going up against a full defensive game plan. Second overall pick going into year 3. Can he just find the open guy? Can he scan through progressions and hit the open target? I felt like for the most part, again, it's such a small sample size. I don't want to say, yeah, Zach looked way better or Zach looked the same. I think we can pull away some positives. Number one, the arm strength, right? We saw that on the deep throw. He actually had a missed throw. I believe it was actually his last pass of the game where it got away from him. It just sailed, but you can just see the velocity. But at the same time, every Jet fan, every fan of football knows that Zach Wilson has an absolute cannon for an arm. But more importantly, I felt like throughout throughout the 3 drives, he did show an ability to hang in the pocket and the process a little bit quicker than he did last year, right? I felt like at times last season, he was really quick to just bail out of the pocket, and that's something that isn't going to be like a week-to-week fix. Like, hey, you need to stay in the pocket. And it's like next week, the problem is completely gone. No, it's going to take time for him to not get hit, time to trust his offensive line, time to trust the offensive coordinator and the wide receivers to get open. I mean, in the back of your mind, if you're getting hit constantly, if you've been hurt in your NFL career, if you've been rushed a lot, if you're playing with young wide receivers, the clock in your head is going to start moving a little faster than a veteran here. So I did like that Zach was able to stick in the pocket and be able to process at least a little bit faster than what we saw, a year ago. I think the joint practices will be huge. I think the other preseason games will be huge. For me, I want to see more of Zach Wilson. We're not asking him to be a top 5 guy here. We're not asking the world. We're asking if Zach Wilson can be the backup quarterback for this team. Think about that, right? If on one hand, it sucks to say it, but on the other, this is just the reality that we're living in. If I would have said to you 3 years ago when the Jets drafted Zach, hopefully by year 3, he could be the backup, you would say, why in the world is this the pick? But again, that's just where we're at. So although I want Zach to go out there and succeed, although I do believe in him, there is that expectation level in my head where it's like, again, second overall pick, entering year 3, new OC, supposedly he didn't get along with LaFleur that well, has a great defense that he can rely on, has a great defense that he could go out and practice against, whether it's the first or second stringers here, learning from Aaron Rodgers. There's a lot going in Zach Wilson's favor. Let's take the training wheels off in preseason, and like we were talking about before, find the open targets. Process information. They're not throwing a ton at you. Just hit the open guys. Don't look rattled. Don't look confused. It is what it is. This is preseason football. He should be able to go out and handle it. But moving on, Mekhi Becton. This was really weird. Really, really weird situation. So before the game, Saleh did say that Becton should get 20 to 25 snaps. It looked like he only got 7 to 8. At one point, according to Rich Shimini, he limped off the field. but apparently got put back on the field for a special teams play. And then from that point on, I didn't see him. I got to be honest, I was really looking forward to seeing Becton just out on the field, right? Wearing a Jet uniform, playing against a different, a different team for once. I mean, he's missed the 2 seasons, as we all know, but at the same time, he's not just missing the games, he's missing the practices. He's missing the practices as well. So, it's just tough. When Samini tweeted that initially, I felt horrible. I felt horrible. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. How is Mekhi Becton limping off the field in just a handful of plays? Like, this cannot be happening. So thankfully, he was able to at least come back in. He wasn't carted off the field or anything like that. So, for Mekhi, we'll see how it plays out. But personally, I just want Becton's knee to be okay. I want him to be injury-free. I don't want him just to go out there and show what he's capable of. Really, that's what it comes down to. His rookie year, he was dominant. Not only was he just dominant, but he played a lot. And that's just something that we just haven't seen. Unfortunately, it sucks to say it. I hate talking about, Becton's missed time, but it's just an unfortunate situation. Really, it's tough. Now, to quickly rattle off some positives here, I think the first guy that needs to be talked about is Greg Zuerlein. We talked a little bit about it in these training camp practices, but he's been absolutely fantastic in these practices. I thought he was great for this Jets team a year ago. Finally the Jets have some stability. We have some consistency at the kicker position. There were a handful of years where we were cycling guys in, cycling guys out, picking, dudes up in the middle of the season, hoping they pan out. We're not in that position anymore. We finally have an above average kicker. This is the season, right? Win now, Super Bowl, AFC Championship, big expectations. We cannot be losing games by a 40-yard missed field goal. Or we miss an extra point in the second quarter, we end up losing the game by 1. Not at all. That cannot happen. So thankfully, we have a safe option with Greg Zuerlein. And so far through these practices, and of course in the Hall of Fame game, he looked really good. Next up, linebacker Jamien Sherwood, right? Somebody who's expected to take that next step this season, potentially as the starting weak side linebacker. He also had some snaps at middle linebacker too, which I thought was really cool because in the event that Mosley goes down, it's like, all right, who's stepping up? It's probably going to be Sherwood. That way you're not completely reshuffling the board, moving Quincy Williams and whatnot. So I think it was cool to see Jamien Sherwood go out there, show off his athletic ability. He had a forced fumble. And I felt like overall he definitely looked like an NFL starter. Somebody else that stood out was Will McDonald. This physically, Will McDonald looked great. He looked great. Just his movement on the defensive line, athletic ability, his quickness as well, getting in the backfield at one point. Will McDonald looked he looked like an NFL starter. He looked like somebody that should not have been playing in tonight's game, based off of what we've seen in previous years, not just specifically with the Jets, but just edge rushers from across the league. Will McDonald looked legit. Granted, going up against backups, Hall of Fame game, so much time left before the start of the season. We'll see how it plays out. But as of right now, Will McDonald is looking really, really good. Really good. I also thought it was really cool when Chaz Surratt got that interception. It was a heads-up play, right? Being able to read the quarterback's eyes, having the athletic ability to move back and snag that pick. Another guy who I'm really excited about, somebody that stood out eye test-wise, Jason Brownlee. I know he had the drop, but I'm not going to sit here and focus in on one negative play, and you can make an argument that ball got it was a nice play by the defender. Jason Brownlee, his size lining up on the outside matched with his overall athletic ability, his speed, the way his route running ability, getting in and out of breaks, the stop and go stuff, his get off the line, even his blocking in the running game. I mean, I'm not calling him this player. I'm not comparing him to this player. All I'm saying is, from a physical standpoint, he kind of reminded me of DK Metcalf. A physically imposing wide receiver that bullies corners, that can throw them around with one arm. Brownlee looks like he has that potential from a physical standpoint. Again, I'm not saying Brownlee is the next Metcalf or anything like that, but just, kind of looking like a small forward out there, just a physically imposing player. And those guys are hard to come by. Very, very hard to come by. Other physical, types of players like that. Brandon Marshall back in the day. Plexico Burris is another one. Guys that can just leap over corners like it's nothing in the running game. Just grab a hold of them and just keep it moving. Such a luxury. Undrafted free agent. I'm really, really pulling for him to make the team. I'm hoping he does. And also, I'm hoping Hard Knocks kind of follows his story as well. Which I just think it's going to be... I think... Dennis Waszak actually wrote a great piece on Jason Brownlee. I'll leave it linked down below in the description box if you guys haven't checked it out. But kind of talked about his backstory, his personality a little bit. Really cool stuff. Really cool stuff. So those are my just takeaways from the game. Again, you don't want to focus in on so much in the Hall of Fame game where it's such basic plays. It's not even really like a major game plan being installed or anything. It's more so let's see how these third stringers are practice squad spots, and this goes for both teams. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it, and as always, go Jets.